Of these different officers and first responders that serve their communities coming together to support Officer Eyer, their brother, someone who puts and risks their life every day to put their life on the line for us. I mean, look at that. Isn't that so powerful to see all of these officers coming together? And here at WCNC Charlotte, we've been doing fundraising efforts for Back the Blue NC to raise money for all of these officers' families. Officer Eyer had a 3-year-old son. Between the 4 men, there's 8 children altogether, and you can still donate to help the families if you want. That's on our website, WCNC.com.
Here's the caisson is now turning into the parking lot there at First Baptist as we take a deep look back at all the members of CMPD standing to pay their respects. A moment ago, we saw members of the State Highway Patrol as well, walking just behind them, all lined up to say goodbye to one of their own.
And you know, it has to be so difficult. I mean, they risk their lives every day, and their family members know when they go off to work every day, they hope and pray that they'll come home, you know, but it's not always guaranteed, and they're willing to risk their life for all of us for a safe community, and that's what these men did on Monday.
Vanessa Rufus, stand by. She's on the parade route there, the procession route, watching this unfold. Vanessa, what are you seeing?
Hi, so I'm just off of the main shot here, but right now you're looking at CMPD officers. You saw that, I believe, Ben, you described it as a ribbon of black moving through the city. So essentially this is the stopping point for that ribbon, and we could see these officers standing ready, and we hear those drums in the distance. You saw the very poignant bagpipe presentation, and just a really somber moment at this point. Folks sitting here in silence, standing in silence. We saw a lot of salutes as the caisson passed, and off in the distance we can see closer to the church itself is where the colors are being presented. So just trying to remain very somber and respectful here, and just reflect upon the service that Officer Eyer gave to his community, the ultimate sacrifice that he gave in his service. I spoke earlier this week with the police chief, and you know, it's hard to really think about this and try to wrap your mind around this, but this is actually the second officer funeral that the city has had to do in less than 3 years. And I know you mentioned it's been almost 20 years since we've lost officers shot in line of duty here in Charlotte, but Officer Mia Goodwin, we actually lost her in December of 2021 under much different circumstances, but I talked to the police chief about that, and not that there is any sort of appropriate timeline for losing an officer, but having these two events so close. And he also mentioned the fact that the division that Mia Goodwin represented, the University Division, is actually a neighboring division to the one where Officer Eyer served. And so he kind of talked about that kinship between the two divisions and just how difficult it is to see a situation like this pop up once more and have to deal with some of the emotions that may resurface from the last time they had to relive a nightmare like this. So take a listen to what the police chief had to say.
It's difficult. You know, Mia was in their neighboring division up in University City Division, who had a big response to that scene Monday. And but yeah, when these things happen, all of that comes to surface. You know, I've been here 32 years. I was a rookie young officer when I remember John Burnett and Andy Nobles getting killed, and I responded to that scene. I remember Jeff Shelton and Sean Clark, Fred Thornton. All of that comes back to haunt you when you have something like this happen, and you realize that the difficulties in this profession, and that it truly is a profession that you're putting your life on the line to help protect and serve others.
And so you hear there, of course, just the emotions of having to relive this again. We just saw a flyover with some helicopters, and of course folks having their salute now. We'll leave you with this picture here and send it back to you, Ben and Sarah. The
police chief with the department, 32 years, now 4 years as the chief of the department, leading a force of about 1,800, many of whom have never seen a day like this before in their careers. A chief who himself said this was one of the hardest weeks he's ever had to go through as chief and as an officer, losing one of his own who he described as a phenomenal officer and the epitome of what he wants all of his officers to be like.
We were talking